Hello.
Poor soul.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Quick overview of the starter Hand of Naz Mage build for Necromancer. This is something I put together. It's not the meta build, something I threw together with what I could throw together, if you will. As you can see, I have like 500,000 gold. It's not looking good for me. We do have some GAs and some uniques though, so it works out. Let's see here. We got 18 hours of playtime, so keep that in mind. That is quite a bit of time after a season has been released. So what we are working with here, we have the damned aspect on a dagger. We want to get some, excuse me, chance for a skeletal mage to attack twice if we can on there. And the other weapon we have for a focused is a Great Feast. Again, skeletal mage or summon damage if you can for tempers. We're using Great Feast here to get attack speed for our summons, and then we're using Damned here to get additional shadow multiplier for our summons, since they will be affected by curses. We're using Occult Dominion on the boots with some movement speed, skeletal priest effect. Occult Dominion gives us additional skeletal mages. Blood Moon Breach is what this does, is allows us, our mages, to curse enemies, take multiplied crit damage from curses when they are cursed. Not curses, sorry. When they are cursed, they take multiplied crit damage. So we want these. Lots of the stats on this are kind of useless. The crit chance is huge, actually, and the Hellbat Commander is huge. Golem Mastery is bad. Very basic Hand of Nazes here. Only a 78% X multiplier on these. Basically, these juice are mages, so when they eventually attack 25 times, they become bigger, do additional damage, and they just really pop off. It feels kind of like rats in D3, not the same, of course, but it's a nice little nod to that, I suppose. It works. With what you just saw, this is what I'm wearing, and these can be a lot better. We're using a chest with Might aspect to get the damage reduction, skeletal priest effect, as well as chance for minion attack to fortify us. And that poison res is just something on there because I'm broken, I can't reroll things. Helmet, we have hardened bone to get a natural 26% damage reduction. We have barrier gen and max life on there. Stats are kind of meh. I don't want armor on there at all, but I can't even remaster work it, so whatever. I have double armor, by the way. Well, just about. There we go. So try not to get that. For the amulet, we do try to want gloom on there. You can get gloom through a, I don't know if I have one, but an Ebon Piercer. Don't think I have one on me, actually. You can get gloom through that. Try to get intelligence. I have armor percent, way too much of it, as you can see. But we do definitely want the ultimate cooldown and skeletal mage damage on it for tempers. We're using reanimation as our aspect to give our minions an almost 90% X multiplier. And then for the gem in here, let me pull these out, actually.
Finest jewels in Sanctuary. Fashion this into something.
So we'll talk about the gems here after the gear. And for run the rings, Frenzied Dead for the aspect to get the attack speed up. Just basically end crit chance. I'd rather have attack speed maybe, but we work with what we can get. Alt cooldown and summon damage or mage damage for the tempers. Service and Sacrifice gives us a almost 100x multiplier for our mages. And you want ult and summon or mage tempers on this. As far as the gems, we're using a 20x multiplier to elemental damage, the Scornful Light. We're using Idle from Below, gain 6% X primary stat, 6% X max life, and unhindered. However, we're hunted by enemies. It's not that bad. And then we're using Reverie Horn. It grants our summons 50% X multiplier whenever we injure or kill an enemy. As far as the seasonal power stuff, I don't have a lot unlocked. I'm still kind of messing around with just random things here. I will say, though, I do like the Celestial Surge for the pull it has. We're using Thunderous Particle, specifically for the deactivation of the suppressor effect here. It's going to be just huge for your mages. We're using this I have unlocked. It just grants a freeze effect, basically. Might try this out. I actually have a stun when pressurized steam. Sapping Crux, make enemies vuln. This is a must. I don't have hardly any vuln, so I need that on there. And then we have Catalyst destroys barriers, which I absolutely hate barriers on enemies, so we're going to put that on there too. This is something you can kind of toy around with yourself, honestly. Whatever you feel like you're missing on your build, just play around with this. Not going to get too much into it. Look at the dead, though. We are sacrificing our Reapers to get the 20x multiplier for shadow damage. Taking Shadow Mages, obviously. 3% X increased damage for each active Shadow Mage. And we're sacrificing... I am sacrificing attack speed here, Bone Golem, to get the attack speed buff. But like I said, this is very just my build, not meta at all, so there's probably better options out there. As far as the skill tree, we're picking up Decompose and Reap to have on our skill bars. I'll tell you in a second why. Go ahead and pick up Acolyte's Reap, just in case you need corpses. It's very helpful. Maxing out Hued Flesh, just to get more corpses. Pick up Supernatural Blight to get the damage multiplier for enemies affected within Blight. You don't need to max out Blight. We're also going to pick up Blighted Corpse Explosion to get that. We're not going to max out Corpse Explosion, but we will max out Fueled by Death. There's a multiplier there. And we will put one into Grim Harvest just to get some extra essence flow. That one's kind of optional. Max out Necrotic Fortitude, Titan's Fall, and Spiked Armor. Max out Death's Embrace here. Maxing out Skeletal Mage Mastery here, obviously. Max out Amplified Damage. And we're going to pick up Abhorrent Decrepify to get a chance to cool down our ultimate, basically, whenever we deal damage to enemies affected by Decrepify. Gonna max out Culled Blood here. Max out Reaper's Pursuit, Gloom, and Terror. You can put one into Crippling Darkness. In fact, I might do that. Let's take this one out. Let's put one into Crippling Darkness. I'm just making builds on the fly here. It's a very starter build. Maxing out Necrotic Carpus. Give us extra fortify. We want to stay alive here. Just gonna max out Finality here. And then put one into Inspiring Leader, max out both Hellbent and Death's Defense to keep your minions alive. Max out Soul Rift. I'm using Soul Rift. I like the damage multiplier it gives. It's a fun ultimate to use. I think Bone Storm's also kind of an option, and then if you want to go full minion, of course, Army of the Dead's a thing, but I like going Soul Rift. I'm trying out Affliction right now. It seems to be working good. I was using actually Cowan's Edict before. I think this is more of a starter. Once you have around 900%, like I pretty much do right here, you can go for Affliction, I would say. As long as you're shadow damage. For Paragon's starter board, we're using Exploit. Just make sure you're getting at least the glyph minimums for now. Using Exploit here. And second board, we're going to be using Cult Leader to get a 40x multiplier. As well, like additional bonus for each 20% attack speed bonus they have. That's why we want to get more attack speed. because they get a 40x per 20% of attack speed bonus they have. If I'm reading that right, I could be wrong about that. It's a little confusing, but it sounds like you can get multiple like 40x's in there. I could be wrong. Either way, it's a juicy 40x multiplier, even if I'm wrong, so get that in there. I could be wrong about how that's even working, so just keep that in mind. Dead Razor here for the first glyph, just a quick 15x multiplier for minions, as well as juices our minion nodes here, very easy. Try to use Cult Leader and Grave or Dead Razor for your first board here. Kind of branch off to what you want here. For my third, I'm using Flesh Eater to get a 40x after consuming 3 corpses. We're always consuming corpses. And then we use Control here, get a 20x to crowd control. Everything's always crowd control, so just a free 20x multiplier here through Control. And then for the fourth board, not even 5 boards yet, but for the fourth board, I'm using Frailty. This is a 40x to enemies that are cursed. And I'm using Eliminator up here for my glyph. And by the way, none of my glyphs are even like 45 or 46. I'm still using level 2 glyphs. This one's level 5 still. This is very basic stuff here, guys. Very starter gear. So there's definitely room for improvement. And I'm doing 55s T4 in a few minutes. That's not bad. It could be better, of course, but it's not bad at all. I'm very impressed with it. I love the build. It actually feels like a minion build, to be honest. Look at all these mages. That is so cool. Very cool. And they grow and they pop off. It feels fun. Definitely check it out. Even my gloves could be better. Everything could be better. I'm probably even using like just the wrong aspects compared to meta setups. But this is a starter setup if you were interested in seeing that and you're confused yourself how to set it up. I'll post a build link here as well. For mercenaries, we're just kind of going with Subo here to get our map pack as well as the 25x critical strike damage. And then not much for the reinforcement. I was just kind of going with the ground slam whenever we did a soul rift. So play around with that. I'm just doing with what I can do. And then real quick for the runes, like I said, using what we have here, I was lucky and found an Om rune. So I'm using some Om there. How many times is that actually? 24 times. I don't think so. I'd rather evade 8 times. And then we're using a Pak Watt up here. I was using Cry Rune before in the video actually, but I think the Watt's better. Just execute enemies there for you after spending 100% of your resource, which we're always doing because of our Great Feast aspect here. Each minion drains 1 essence from you per second, so we're getting 12 essence drained per second. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or even maybe ideas or tips for the build, feel free to comment. This is a starter versions for T4 to get people going with the early Hand of Nas and Blood Moon breaches. If you don't have Hand of Nas or Blood Moons, my previous gloves, if I can even find them. Yeah, see if you can get something with like Skeletal Mage Mastery on them, basically. Some max life, whatever stats. That's what I would go for. Again, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.